Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. We're starting a little bit late. I was just a few minutes behind. My computer was just having some issues connecting here, so we should be all good to go. So let me just switch it over to my other screen here. All right. So we are going to be basically taking off where we um left off yesterday last week. So we have quite a bit of our application built here. So if we actually just bring up a web browser here, this is what we had last week. Um, so we had a search last week where it allowed us to search for some viewers, for some employees here, and then we put in the name of our employee username, and then we were able to select our employee username here, and it would pull all the data back from Active Directory. If we select this one, it'll pull back that specific employee, and then we can also look up other ones here if we do test. So everything seems to work very, very well here. So I don't think we have an issue at all with this. So what we want to do now is we want to be able to add the buttons, which we've already coded all the endpoints for this. So the only thing that we have really left to do is add in the button for reset password, unlock account, disable account, and enable account. So we're going to be going ahead and doing that here. All right. And can everyone hear me okay? I'm just getting some warnings on the YouTube stream app here. If you guys can hear me, just let me know in the chat. If you guys can't hear me in the chat, just let me know as well. That'll be good. All right. Let's go ahead and let's actually get started here. So let's go into the PowerShell Universal dashboard here. Welcome in, Eduardo. Welcome in. How's it going today? All right, so we're already logged in. Let's go into dashboards here. Let's go into our dashboard here and into our page. All right, so we want to add a button here for reset password. And I think that I want to do it probably right here. New UD button. And we can do a ID is going to be reset password. And let's see what we can actually do here. So I did see like an on-click event. Let's change the text as well. I also want to say disabled by default is going to be true. And then the text here, I might have to put the text before disabled. Let's do the text before disabled here. And let's do that as Loving this PowerShell series. Perfect. That's awesome, Eduardo. I'm glad that people are actually really enjoying this. It seems like quite a lot of people are based on like the last two live streams. I definitely find it pretty interesting as well. Like it's pretty neat what we can do with PowerShell Universal. So this button we're gonna have reset password, and let's just say disabled is true. Let's just see what this looks like real quick. If I save this, go in here, refresh the page. So there's the button right here. It is currently disabled, and that's perfect. Then I wonder if we can do a new UD. It's not called the label, I guess. New UD. I kind of want like just like a little paragraph. Have you ever tried using a different WPF library like Arrow when making PowerShell GUIs that you built up? I've actually not tried different WPF libraries, but I would guess that they would work um just as well. But yeah, I do definitely agree. Like the default one definitely is starting to look a little outdated. Um, the way that I'm kind of going more towards now is being using things like PowerShell Universal or like PS Write HTML, where it's all like web-based applications other than even just like executables or like GUIs. Um, so I find like that's even more advanced and more modern than having like an actual like standalone application these days. Uh, see here. Well, there is a new UD paragraph. I don't know if that'll be exactly what we want, but um, there's no way to actually reference it. So we need to find something that we can actually um, reference. I wonder if we can reference a span. Oh, we can. Um, maybe uh, password text could be here, and then content. Um, content in here would probably be I wonder if I just put like test in here, if that would work. I don't know if that'll work or not. Doesn't really seem like it. Um, try to really just find something that's gonna work. I don't really want to do it. I mean, a text box could work. I just don't think that that's really what I would like. But ID will be password text. I did get the live notification from YouTube. I actually have heard that from a few people that even with like the notifications turned on, you don't always get the live notifications, which is kind of weird. I would have thought that that would have always happened, but seems like not really the case. So I can't do disabled first. Is there a text here? Nope. I wonder if um, label will be. Do you know with PowerShell Universal works with PS Crescendo? I actually don't know what PS Crescendo is. So let me just look up what that is first. If it's just a module, I would say yes. Uh, oh yeah, yeah. I would definitely assume that it would actually work with the Crescendo module. Because you can load in any module really in PowerShell Universal. Like I'm using the Active Directory module right now. That comes with the RSAT tools. And there's actually a spot here. Let me just save this real quick. I believe it is somewhere in here. I think there's even a spot where you can like, oh yeah, right here, modules. So this modules is only for licensed instances, but I'm pretty sure like even in your code, if you just did like an import module, right before putting it in, I would imagine that it would work. That'd be my best guess because it works with the Active Directory commandlets without even importing them. So if it's something that automatically gets imported into your PowerShell sessions, depending on how you have it configured, it should load in instantly into your PowerShell Universal environment as well. That's been my experience with the different modules anyways. So let's just do that. Disabled is true. Let me just see what this looks like here. Okay, so we have test here. Okay, so that actually is kind of useful. I could use that up here. Label username. I actually already have that like that. Okay, that works. Um, that's not what we want to have. I wonder if it would be the helper text that I would want. Test. Say that. I want something inside the text box. Parameter cannot be found. Helper text cannot be found. Okay. Um. Placeholder potentially. That could be what I'm looking for. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted here. So that shows test here. Uh, that, save that. I don't know why this is coming up to show true up here. But test does show up, so that's perfect. Sure, that'll kind of remove the true. Perfect. And then disabled. It's true. Okay. Well, for now, let's just do it like this, I guess, because that'll actually remove. The only thing is I don't want that. Disabled. Okay, perfect. So now I can't, but I also can't copy anything that's in there either. I wonder if I wonder if alert would be good. That could be good. Is PowerShell Universal good for monitoring logging such as Grafana or Zabbix? I would definitely say it's an option. You can. I wouldn't necessarily use it as a replacement for Grafana, but you could definitely use it as like you could use it in combination with Grafana. Like you could write logs and stuff of anything that you write inside your PowerShell Universal. Um, but you could definitely have scripts and stuff that do like monitoring and then schedule them with the job scheduler inside of PowerShell Universal and this automation with the scripts, jobs, and schedules. That you would definitely be able to build like monitoring scripts and logging scripts that could provide you something very similar to Grafana if you wanted to use it that way. But you can also use it in the other way of you can log a bunch of your scripts to different logging software, such as like Grafana or like Elastic or something like that. Let's try this UD alert. I feel like that might be what I want. Might be what I want. So let's do false for the disabled real quick here. And then on click, we're just going to do that real quick. Do that. So that. And what does the alerts look like? I don't even see the alert pop up. So that's not great. So the alerts aren't really working here for us. I am also only using version 3. So that could be why. So I've started working on the tutorial series for the actual channel for PowerShell Universal as well. And that one, instead of using the version 3.10.3, I did decide to go use the latest version. So if you guys watch that series, we'll be using like the version 4. I believe it's like 4.3 or something like that right now. Let's do that, see what happens there. See, nothing really, there's no alerts that pop up. Okay, so let's change that, I guess. And let's do a new UD button. I wonder if I just do a new UD button, name it password text here. Have it disabled. And then what we can do is do a set UD element in here. Password text, and then text will equal It worked. See if that works. So if we refresh this here, there you go. It actually did pop up the text. And it kind of just looks like a text box when the button's disabled. So that does actually work. So that's perfect. Now I wonder if someone like inspects this, what does it look like exactly? We just a bunch of buttons, but that works. That's fine. So we can find a text box of sorts, which I just don't really see a whole lot of. Yeah, it's not the options I would want, but that's okay. So by default, we definitely want this to be disabled. Now, can I change that in here? Not necessarily on the search, but once we select the employee, that's when I want to activate the button. And then we want to say disabled is false. But then also when we do a search, so if we do a new search, we also want to reset that button to be disabled. So let's do that. And let's see if that works. All right, so the button's disabled by default. Then if we look up for our employees, we select our first employee. The button activates, we can click on it. If we search up a new employee, it resets here. And once we select our employee 3, it reactivates the button. So that's actually perfect. And the only thing that we'll want to do as well is actually just change this. So this, once that's done, we want to set that. We just want to put that as blank here. And we want to put that as blank as well. Okay, perfect. So now that should actually reset. So if we do that, we select our employee. We could reset the password. I still can't copy the text though. Hmm. And I'd really, really like to get that text working. Um, the only thing that I could really think about at this point is this paragraph, but I don't think that that will work for what I actually want it to be. I don't think that I could reference that at all. Um, It's like we can select things in here. I could. I don't really know if I want to display it in something like that, though. The only other option would be a new because that is that. So that's how we would get that. I'm just trying to think here of how we can actually get this. Well, what about a data grid? Don't think that's exactly what we would want. Um, Feedback, nothing there. There is text box here. Okay, so the value would be what we would want to change. Okay, so I could potentially do that. So new UD. New UD text box value. And then that would be value. And then we just need to change that here. And in here, I think. Okay, let's see what this looks like now. I think that might be a bit better. So let's search up our employee here. Let's pick our employee 1. If we reset the password, and we can actually highlight inside of it, but we cannot edit it. If we pick employee 2, it resets what's in there. It does look a little off, but that's okay. We'll fix that after. We'll fix up any visual things a bit later, see if we can figure that out today. But I think at least we managed to get a text box so we can actually properly show the new password here. I wonder if there is like a width or something option or length. No, I did see like full width. Let's see what that happens. It was that. That's not awful. I could use that. Okay, that works. That'll work for now. So we can figure out how to make it look a little bit nicer. Um, so now that we have our reset password, now what we need to do is we need to call our reset password on our selected user though. Now that'll be a little bit more difficult because that means we will also have to actually store our selected user somewhere. Um, really liked the IntelliSense from PowerShell Universal. Seems like Visual Studio. How does it work? As is running your local host. Yeah, so basically, PowerShell Universal is an app that you can actually download. It's from Ironman software. So you install it, it runs as a service. You can set up the service account that it runs as. Basically runs on your server or on your own computer. So as you can see, I'm just running it on this Windows 11 machine. So I'm just accessing it through localhost. And then it basically uses all of your environment. So it has PowerShell 7, PowerShell 5 in here. And then inside the editors, it has the fully IntelliSense, very similar to how Visual Studio does. So it even has, like if I try to type in my Active Directory commandlets, it has the unlock AD account. It has the get AD user. It has all my AD commandlets loaded in. So pretty much exactly how you would use Visual Studio, you could use PowerShell Universal Code Editor for it. So I do a lot of the coding I will actually do in here. So in Visual Studio, this is where I basically create my endpoints. I test them out, make sure that they work properly. And then I put in my endpoints in here, which you'll see in just a moment. So it's a very, very nice, very user friendly, I find. Um, so I need to store the username somewhere in here. Um, uh, so what we can do is we can actually say uh, new heading. So under the new heading, let's do a new UD text box with the ID of uh, selected username. I think that's going to be our best bet. Um, we want it to be disabled. So that's 100%. And then value, we're just going to leave that as blank for now. And then what we want to do is on the selection of the user, we want to go ahead and put that in here. So we're going to set the UD element here. We're going to do that first. So set UD element, and we're going to do selected username. The value is going to be username. And then what we want to do as well is on the search, we actually want to null that out basically. So we want to set that as empty. And then what I want to do is I want to try referencing that. So I want to say username is going to be equal to get UD element. ID is going to be selected user, and then property is going to be value. And let's just set that value here to username. Let's see if that works here. I think that that'll be the best bet, and I'll kind of go through what I did there. So let's just refresh it. Let's see what happens if we look up our employee here. We select employee 1. We get the username here. That's perfect. We select employee 2. We get the new employee name. If we reset password. Okay. So we do get property value cannot be found. So, and all we get is an object, which is not really what we wanted to see. But let's do get UD elements. Okay, so username dot value maybe that'll be the way to do it. Let's look that up now. Nope, we do not get anything there. Okay. Okay, so how do we get the I mean, I guess one of the things would be like we can create like a new form. Oh, retrieving a text box value. Get UD element. Okay, well that's what we did here. Oh, selected user name. Okay, I see what I did here. So do that. Dot value. Now that should work. Let's look up employee here. Let's see what happens. Select our test employee 1. Reset password, employee 1. Perfect. So we're actually pulling back this. And now if we did like another search here, so let's look up test real quick. It completely erases everything. We can select test employee 3. If we hit reset password, we get test employee 3 here. Perfect. So that actually works. Awesome. So what we did is, or what was that fix with the get UD element? So it was actually a typo. So what I had done here was new UD text box. I had put selected username as the ID. What I had up here in the get UD element, I had selected user. I didn't have selected username. Therefore, it wasn't finding it. So it was just a typo, purely just a typo there. So that's perfect. So now we can grab the username. So now what we need to do is we need to execute our basically our endpoint to reset the password here, which I have that in here in our tests. Reset password is going to be this one here. Just have to change that to username here. And now let's go. Let's do new password. And I forget honestly what it sends back. So let us look at our endpoints here now. So our endpoints for reset password. I never knew about the invoke REST method. Yeah, invoke REST method is very, very useful. So invoke REST method will let you call APIs using PowerShell. So as an example here, we have our reset password, which I have it now set to return a username and a password with the parameters new password and username here. So what we can do is once we have our invoke REST method, I can use that to test APIs. That'd be interesting. Yeah, you could use that to test APIs. So as an example here, let me actually just show you. So let's use this for example. We'll use these two lines. So we have a search for. So enter username to search for, and then I called this API route with invoke REST method. And if I type in employee here, it will actually go and submit that to my API route, and we get this back as a response from our API. So you can actually test APIs using PowerShell. Invoke REST method does work with Pester, yes. So you can write Pester tests and have invoke REST method inside your Pester tests to actually write your testing methods for your API using PowerShell. That would definitely be something that you could do. So yeah, so if you want to do API testing with Pester and PowerShell, I would definitely use invoke REST method. It works very, very well. All right, so let's change up our value here, and let's say password for, and we're going to do a variable wrapper. We're going to say new password dot username is password has been reset to, and let's do another variable wrapper here, and let's do new password dot new password. Invoke, yeah, I actually do. Give me 1 second here. Let me just save this real quick so I don't lose it. Yeah, I do actually. So if I go into YouTube here, I'm not actually logged into my channel on this PC. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull it up, and I'm actually going to paste the link to that video in chat. Give me 1 moment. So I know sometimes videos can be kind of tricky to find. I have like a good like search through like the creator page for my own channel videos. API. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so here is the video here. Let me just open this video up here. Give me 1 second. I will have that pasted for you guys in just a second here. All right. Welcome in, Shane Williams. Welcome in. So that would be the video on invoke REST method. It also covers the other way to call APIs, which would be invoke web request. But that video will cover invoke REST method and kind of show the different reasons why I think it's a little bit easier to use, especially for API testing. And then I have videos on Pester as well, but I think you guys just really wanted the videos for invoke REST method, and you could just use that in your Pester tests. Not sure about REST API methods better than C Sharp, although .NET is behind both. Um, I don't know if it's any better. Um, I find that PowerShell in itself just has like an easier barrier of entry compared to C Sharp. Especially for like system admins that might not know a lot of programming. That's where I find like PowerShell just is far superior than something like C Sharp, because C Sharp would have like a lot of additional things to worry about. Whereas, oh, it seems like there is ads here, so I'm just gonna continue on in just a minute here. We're just gonna let the ads finish. Just let me know when you guys are done the ads, and I will come back to that question. No worries, Brawler, and thanks to you, Science. Yeah, I figured I would do a C Sharp playlist just because I think it is super useful. Just I think PowerShell is just like a very easier level of entry, I find. Yeah, I watched your videos to work me very informal. Yeah, I think like if you once you learn how to work with XML files with PowerShell, it definitely makes your life a lot easier because XML files are not fun to work with to begin with. PowerShell, I mean, it still doesn't make XML files fun to work with, but it makes them a little bit easier. Um, that's awesome to hear, Rolster. I'm happy to be able to help you guys out. Do you think PowerShell itself is a skill that will help anyone get a job in IT or development? Hi, Lawrence. Welcome in. I definitely think it does. I think especially if the company is looking for like a system administration role, or DevOps role. It really depends like what they're looking for. But I think just in general IT, if you can show them that you have PowerShell skills, I think it'll be a great leverage for you for any type of job, whether that would be a development job, a system admin job, a help desk job. Because I started as help desk, I had a little bit of programming experience before that. Well, quite a bit, because I had learned programming basically when I was in grade 8 from just watching different TV shows and stuff. But then I learned PowerShell, and ever since then, like it's definitely taken off like quite a bit. I've been able to do a lot more. Um, so I think that it could definitely help you a lot. I would definitely recommend it. Um, my background is no technical economics. I've learned from Jacked videos and now working with DevOps in Azure. Awesome. That's great to hear, actually. I don't know if I've talked to anyone that didn't have any like technical background before watching my videos. So that's actually like a really cool thing to know that even like someone that actually has like no technical background was able to use my videos to actually learn and start working with stuff. That's really, really cool. Uh, Yes, and Brawlster, I actually found so the whole reason for me making this channel was honestly me struggling to find documentation on things that I was doing for work. That's kind of what made me make the channel was I always found it very, very hard to find stuff. So I figured if I can make things easy to find for people in a video format, which for myself, I find like I learn really, really well with that because it's just like visual and you could follow along, follow the activities. I like that's how I really learned how to code in the first place. Uh, but yeah, I find like a lot of the documentation and on some things for PowerShell definitely lacks. So if I look up for my employee here, we select our employee one. Right, so we have our employee one. Let's try to reset the password here. Perfect. So we actually have reset the password for employee one. So we can actually go ahead and we can select that. That's amazing. So it is not enabled, so we'll have to create our enabled, and then we'll be able to test it out, see if our things actually work here. But it seems like the password reset does actually work. So if we actually do employee 2 here, that should actually reset our boxes. And if we reset the password here, oh, and that's because the password is set to never expire. False password expire. So we cannot change the password here. That's fine. We can easily fix that if we need to, and that could just be like a simple warning there. Microsoft has great developers, but not so great to spread information. Java computing. I do agree. A lot of the times I find the docs are um, very, very outdated at times, especially if you're working with Azure or what's called Entra now. They'll do a good job at sometimes like updating like their verbiage. But I find sometimes you'll go to do things, you'll find old docs because their old docs still exist on how to do things. And if you guys work with Microsoft 365 or Azure in any way, you guys know that the UI changes very, very often. Most of the time, you can easily figure it out. If you've done it in the past, you could kind of struggle your way through and know where the new stuff is because it's never that much of a drastic change. Um, but then if it's something you've never done before, I find like using their documents sometimes is extremely difficult because it'll be dated a year ago and their interface has changed and you don't really know where to go because you've never done it before. So that part I kind of struggle with sometimes. Um, but yeah, I definitely agree that the Microsoft community is super great developers. They make really, really great tools. But sometimes their documentation definitely lags behind. Thank you for the kind words to you, Science. I honestly, like I said a couple weeks ago, I didn't think I was ever going to get to like even 100 subscribers. So I really, really, really appreciate those words. Um, it means a lot to me. So we have our reset password here complete. So now if we go back here, we need to do our unlock account, disable account, and enable account still. But now that we have our text box, which stores our user, it's going to be very, very easy. So I think that that's kind of the good thing. So now the only thing that we really need to do, I would say, is kind of like copy paste what we did for the reset password and kind of do that for the other 3 buttons because I think that we still want like a kind of an acknowledgement that the thing has been done. I don't want to click on a button and just rely on it being done. I mean, for the unlock, disable, and enable account, actually, I'm thinking we might not need a box. All we might need to do is really reload this and reload. I mean, we wouldn't even need to reload this. We would just need to reload this table here, and you can easily see if it's locked out, if it's enabled. So I think that could be, I think that could be good enough. Looking forward to the new PowerShell series. So right now my current plans is to release the PowerShell Universal series. That's going to be the next thing coming out to the channel once the PS Write HTML stuff is done. After that, we can definitely kind of circle back and do some more like PowerShell GUIs with the WPF, and maybe use some .NET methods. That could definitely be an option. I know some people had asked for Ansible in the live stream. So if we do Ansible in the live streams, we'll probably release videos on that as well. I also had ideas to maybe do some things with Docker a little bit. Just because Docker is useful to bring up different things. Like you can even bring up a Docker for PowerShell Universal. So again, it's a very useful tool for IT development teams. If you can containerize your application and release that. I know there are a lot of videos already with Docker, so I would try to kind of put it more towards like Docker and PowerShell. More so just because like that's more of my use for it. So those are my plans so far. I still would really like to also do a lot of M365 and Azure. Because it's something that I work with every day, and I think that people could benefit from that, especially if they are working like a system administration job. So that could be something that I do as well. But I'm always open for suggestions of what you guys want to see. Because at the end of the day, I am definitely making these videos to benefit you guys as well. I'd love to see that PowerShell Universal in Docker. Yeah, so I think like that's going to be probably one of my one of the next ones that I do. What are most of the tools that you use for your current job roles? So right now for my current job role is mostly PowerShell is mostly like the tool that I use. And I use it with Microsoft 365, Azure. So I use Microsoft Graph a lot as well. So I do a lot of Graph API calls. And then I manage servers through PowerShell as well. And I manage the entire Active Directory environment, mostly through scripts. So I'm not stuck manually manipulating. Over, I think now we're at about 17 or 18,000 users in the AD environment. So there'd be no way of really managing that manually. So a whole lot of it is done through scripts based on data we get back from our HR. I have scripts that look at what positions they have and automatically assign them to the different groups. PS remoting, yes. So I don't have a series on PowerShell remoting, but I do have like a few videos that kind of go a little bit deeper in PS remoting. I'm not sure if you've seen them. I think they're in like the intermediate tutorial series. But if people would want to deep dive a little bit more into remoting, I could definitely do that as well. All right, so let's go. Let's add these buttons here. Let's do that. So I kind of just want to refresh the table. Which I guess I could do that pretty easily. I just have to really recall this, really. I just need to recall the user details. So that's really about it. Gonna check their face. Yeah, no worries. I would definitely check that video. That video honestly might answer all of your questions of PS remoting, because I think if I remember correctly, I pretty much cover everything in there. I could even moment here. Let me just go here. Yeah, so I actually have quite a few videos here. Let me just do that. So here's one of them. And then here's the other one as well. So those are the two videos on remoting that you guys can watch. One is part of a home lab setup, and then the other one is part of the intermediate tutorial series with PowerShell 7. I do have another one with PowerShell 5, but I think that the PowerShell 7 one and the home lab setup is definitely much better. Yeah, Shane. A lot of times, corporates will definitely lock down PS remoting, which is definitely unfortunate. But if you do have like the ability to bring up a home lab, you can definitely practice there. Um, but yeah, PS remoting is usually something that gets blocked. Like for the most part, it's blocked in our environment as well. I have the ability to do it on the servers, but that's pretty much about it. Um, Besides that, for the most part, it is actually like fully locked out. Um, all right, so let's go and let's do a new button with on click events. Do that here. Close that off. And then here we are going to say this is going to be the unlock account. This is going to be unlock account. And we're just going to copy paste this real quick here. Unlock account, and then this one is going to be enable account. I guess we could just do that here. So enable account, and then that is going to be disable account, and we're just going to name that disable account. Perfect. So we have all of our buttons created. So now we should see all of our buttons. Heard from a conference that organizations handle more than 1,500 physical servers only through PowerShell. Yeah, like that would be my goal eventually. Is I still do a lot of manipulations of servers not through PowerShell, just because of some of the different rules that we have. Um, but I think is um, it's amazing what you can do with PowerShell remoting and managing servers that way. No worries. I enjoy answering your guys' questions. It definitely makes it very interesting and makes me think a little bit too. All right, so we have the three buttons here. So really the only thing that we need to do on the unlock account is kind of do a very similar thing to this here. We just need to do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's do the invoke. And what we're going to do is we are going to, this is the unlock account. So let's copy that over. And then what we want to do is we want to do this select one here. So we want to do this. Get back the user details that we were trying to get. And then do this. So that'll just refresh all of our user details here. Perfect. So that should actually work now. Oh, we just need to do this. We need to put that to username here. And that should unlock our account. Now, the only other thing that we need to do, though, is when we select a new user. So if we selected new user, I really only want to unlock the account if the account is locked. That's pretty much it. So let's go and let's say reset password, password text. Yeah, a lot of people will say that PowerShell is not programming. It's not a programming language because it's a scripting programming, but honestly, like PowerShell has objects. You can do a lot of different things with PowerShell. I would definitely disagree with that as well, Eduardo. I definitely classify it as a programming language myself. So let's do if user details dot locked out is equal to true. So if it's equal to true, then we're gonna do set UD element. And that's gonna be the onlock account. Disabled equals false. Else we're gonna do, it's gonna be true. Okay, I think that that'll be good. We'll test it out. We'll make sure that it kind of has our expected behavior here. So let's look up employee, employee one. See what that looks like. It's not locked out. Employee two is not locked out as well. Let's look up three. Three is not locked out either. Okay, so let's lock out an account real quick. It'll be easy enough to do. Run as different user. Perfect. All right, let's go test employee. What's the username here? Test employee 3. Test. 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 Okay, perfect. It is locked out. So now if we select this here, it is locked out. We have our unlock account option now enabled. So now if we click on unlock account, we now see that it is no longer locked out. Now, the only thing is it does stay like this here. So let's say that once we click on unlock account, we should say that the unlock account disabled equals true. Welcome in M&A Music. I'm doing pretty well. Yourself? All right, so now let's actually just let's test out the unlock once again here. Test employee 3. Test. So actually one of those is an array. So your at sign with the parentheses is going to be an array. And then your at symbol with the curly bracket is actually going to be a hash table. So actually we have so here's the video for hash tables. So that's the video for hash tables, and that will be your at symbol with the curly bracket. And then this will be the video on arrays, which will be your at symbol with the parentheses. So basically what you're going to have is hash tables aren't ordered in any way. You can make them ordered, but by default they are not. Arrays are ordered. Hash tables will have name value pairs or key value pairs. So each value will be assigned to a key, whereas an array just holds a value. So those are like the main differences. You can also use hash tables as like objects a lot of the times. Arrays are more going to be for like lists. So those are really the main like key critical differences. And of course I go a lot more in depth inside the videos, like explaining each one, but those are like the main differences between the two. All right, so let's go back into the code here. Let's lock out the account once again, make sure that it works. All right, so the account's locked out. So let's look up our test employee 3 here. Select our test employee 3. We do see that it is actually locked out right now. We can see it right here. Now, if I click on unlock, we get it as false now. The button still doesn't disable, but honestly, we see that it is not locked out. So that's fine. So that should be okay. I would like it to have been disabled, but that's all right. It'll work for now. So now it is now for the disable account, for the enable account, sorry. So enable account will be our next thing that we want to do. So basically all we really need to do is actually, it's going to be pretty much copy pasting exactly what's in here. But we just really need to do this part here. So enable account. And then the API route for that is just enable and disable. So we'll just do enable here. And that's fine. And we can do the same thing for the disable. It's going to be disable account. Perfect. That's awesome. And then all we need to do is over here, we can just copy paste this if statement. And we can just do that. And we can say if it is enabled. Oh, actually, we don't even need two if statements. We can actually just do this in one if statement, actually. So if the account is enabled, we are going to disable the enable button. If the account is enabled, we want to enable that button. And then all we need to do is copy paste this to the bottom and then put it to true and put that to false, which is just going to be the opposite of above. And if we save that here, we should be able to, and in the search, what we want to do is on the search here, where is our search? Because I'm sure on a search of a new, so if I go employee, we look at employee 1, it's disable account, but then if we look up another user, disable account will still be active. Yeah, so we definitely want to disable that on a search here. So let's do that. And we're just going to copy paste that once more up above here. Now, what we should actually be doing is we should be creating functions for these, which that we can do that a little bit later. Again, it's going to be all in like the refactoring of the code. So I think that that's okay. Unlock account, we're going to disable it. Enable and disable, we're going to disable that as well. Perfect. So now if we save that, we go back into it. We look up our employee. We select employee 1. We get the option to disable it because it is it is actually not even enabled. So we have that backwards a little bit. And let's look up employee 2. Employee 2 is going to be the same thing. Okay, so let's look up our code here on the if statements. So if user is enabled is equal to true. Oh, yep. We need that as false. That is true. That is false. And that is true. Because if the account is enabled, we need the disable account. We need that to be disabled as false. So it is actually enabled. So we can actually disable the account. It was just a little confusing there. I didn't think about it thoroughly there. So let's look up employee once again. And let's look up employee 1. So now we have the reset password, we have the enable. So that's perfect. And the password is expired. It is not locked out. So now we can actually hit enable account. And it is actually enabled now. So now if we actually reselect it, we will actually now we have the enabled option here, and we set that as true, so we can actually disable it here, and we can hit disable here. And now we get that as disabled. And once again, I think with the functions, we will actually be able to do these buttons a little bit better, but that works for now. So what we can actually do is test the reset password really quickly here. So let's reset the password on employee 1. So we have this as our password. Let's test it out. So it's employee 1. Paste in our password here just to show you guys what the password is. It is exactly what our password shows above here. Oh, the account actually has expired. Let's see here. So let's look up employee 2 then. I don't know if employee 2 has expired. Let's reset the password. Oh, and right, that account has the, so let's test it here. I might have to fix up some of the accounts here because I purposely broke a lot of these accounts earlier. Password set to never expires equals to true on these. Yeah, okay, so I purposely did a lot of these things here to these users here. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and let's connect to our AD environment here just so we can make the changes a lot quicker, so we don't have to just because I don't have my scripts on here to actually manipulate those users really quickly. Let's go ahead and let's connect to our environment here. Actually, I think that my password that I put in is wrong. Yes. All right, so let's go here. Let's go into the users and computers. And let's go into account never expires. Okay, account never expires. Password does expire. Let's change that one. It's not expired and password does expire. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and let's select employee 3 here. We can reset the password for employee 3. So let's go in here. Let's run the command prompt as another user. Test employee 3. Paste in the password here. So the password must be changed before logging on the first time. So we did get the password correct. It's prompting us that we would have to change the password, which that you would do at the first login. Now there are ways to actually change that here. So what we can actually do is go into our API routes here, change that, and in the reset password, what we could do is we can change password at next logon. We'll just change that to false really quickly. And now what we can do is reset the password for test employee 3. Copy this password now. And we lost that here. So let me just command prompt, open file location, test employee 3. Paste that password in there. And there it is. So who am I? We have test employee 3. So it is very, very easy to change that right in the route very quickly to be able to just test out, make sure that it works. I would always recommend to change the password at next logon on your reset password, because normally you would just give that to a user that would then log into their computer. They'll be prompted for a new password. So it works very, very well that way. So now all of our accounts, we can activate them. So we can make sure that they're all enabled. This one's enabled. Oh, actually, employee 1 is not enabled. We can enable it. It's now enabled. 2 is not enabled either, so we can enable it. And now it's enabled. So there are a lot of cool things that you can do with this tool, as you guys can see. You can make endless options here. So what we're going to probably do is try to clean up these buttons just to make sure that we actually get like that enable a little bit better there. I think what's really causing that to not work properly is just the fact of it being called by the same thing here. So I think that is really what's going on. If I do that, I wonder if there is a on. There's no on load there, so let's go. Let's just say can we create Windows service from PowerShell? Want to create service running in the background, sending queries to databases. So you can actually create Windows services in PowerShell. You can create your script and then run it as a service. I don't have a video on that, I'm pretty sure. But that's something that I can actually write down, and we can actually do that on a live stream and have a video on the channel for that for sure. I think that could be useful for a lot of people, actually. Okay, so let's do a function here. So let's just write a function at the bottom here. Function. Function, we're going to say disable all buttons. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to copy paste all of this here. So we're going to copy all of these. Actually, we're just going to cut these out. we're going to add the one more. Where is that here? It's going to be over here. Cut that one out here. Okay, so that's going to be disable all buttons. That's what this is called. So let's test that out real quick here. Make sure that it works. Okay, so if I go employee, so it's saying that it's not recognized as a function. And that could be because it is not up above here. Let's go up above here. It might matter. Okay, so that's still not working. We might have to add that there. Test that out. So that's not seeming to work here. Let's I wonder if I need to let's do this function disable all buttons. That might have been it. We'll test it out here. Okay, it is still not working. That in theory should work. Like if we test it out in Visual Studio, just like function test, and then we just do a write output here. And just do test. Yes, that worked. Have you ever worked with PowerShell? No, so I've never worked with the Enterprise Edition. So I've only ever used the free version, which is the one that we're working with right now. I've never actually used the Enterprise version at all. I would like to one day for sure, but I have not used it yet. Okay. Why is it not working in here? It could literally just be that it does not work that way. Like maybe we can't have functions inside of PowerShell Universal Pages. All right, so I think I'm not 100% positive on how this is going to work, but we can test it out, I guess. I don't really know how this is going to work, but let's test it out. So let's do um, disable all buttons equals new function. It's going to be disable all buttons. Um, they call the function afterwards. They just called it using this. Try that. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I have very low hopes. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work. Um, hmm. I'm not sure. Um, custom functions. Load custom functions. PowerShell functions. How do you handle them in PowerShell Universal? So I think that mostly is like I think for manipulation of buttons and everything, I think it's going to be like on these events here. So let's just do that. Let's do that here. And let's just try to clean it up as much as we possibly can. Okay, so we have our form here. Cut that because that's on the unlock account. So we need to do it on here. This is where we disable all the buttons. Okay. On row selection. Yeah, I think that's going to be really the limitations here of this for now. Let's go ahead and I wish there was ways to really like visually run as default here. I think this is pretty good so far. We can add modules in here if we wanted to. We can add components. I wonder what kind of components come in by default here. Doesn't seem like any right now. But yeah, there are like quite a lot of different things here. Nice. All right. Okay, so there are like quite a few like marketplace things if you wanted to try those. They seem to be quite a lot of different things in here as well. The search seems a little bit limited though. Is deprecated. Okay, so they're actually removing this feature. All right, so basically we have our dashboard now. We have the ability to actually really do everything that we wanted to do with our application. So if we refresh this here, we look up our employee. We can select our employee 1. We have the ability to reset the password. We have the ability to unlock, enable, or disable the account based on what's there. we can actually disable the account. We can see that right away. And then that gives us the ability then to, if we just re-click on it, it actually will reload and then do that. So I don't know if there is a way to trigger that or not. But so yeah, so everything seems to be working quite well in here. So the only thing that we would really want to do, and this is probably going to go maybe to next week at this point, since it's already been almost 2 hours now here from the stream, and I definitely like to just keep it at 2 hours. And I also have a few things that I need to get done this afternoon as well. So we've fully built our application here in PowerShell Universal. We have our search here. We can actually give it a better title. We could probably do that. So let's do that. Edit properties. Let's name it. Let's do Jacked help desk tool. Just do that here. I don't know if that's going to actually show up or not. Let's let's change the name, I guess, back to test. That actually makes sense, actually. So if we go back here into our dashboard, view our dashboard, test dash. Oh, actually, it's because of here. We go into our code. We need to get the jacked help desk tool page here. Refresh this. There it is. There's the jacked help desk tool. And we can look up our employee here. Once again, we can select our employees, which is perfectly nice here. So I think this is awesome. I think what we're going to do next week is try to see if we can like clean it up, make it look a little bit nicer, like maybe just like reorganize how some of these things are laid out so it looks a little bit more like an application where you don't have to really necessarily scroll. I'd really like kind of like have like the search bars here, that's fine. But then maybe have like all the buttons kind of here if that's possible. I don't even really know. So we're gonna be maybe working on that a little bit next week, and then maybe starting on something else as well. So if there's anything that you guys want to see, please let me know. If you guys even like comment on some of the videos that you guys watch from now till then, just let me know what you guys would want to see on the live stream. I'm always very, very open to suggestions. So I hope this live stream, you guys enjoyed this live stream here. We had, again, like super, super great. I had a great time with you guys once again. I enjoy really working and learning PowerShell Universal with you guys on the stream. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I know that it doesn't always notify when I go live, but the time that I always go live is 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that would be like the Toronto or New York City time zone. Because I find, like mentioning the cities of the time zones sometimes help. It's a little bit easier to go online and look up the time of New York City or Toronto and then convert that to your time zone. I hope to see you guys all next week, and I will see you guys on the next video and on the next live stream. Have yourselves a great Saturday and a great weekend, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.